So I'm recording a show with another podcast host. And at this point, I'm a couple hundred episodes in on my own shows. I've had 2 podcast full runs at this point, and it's been great. But I hear the other host ask me a question and then say something like, I'm so glad you're on our show today because I was just wanting to ask you all these questions. What a great opportunity to learn. This is actually what I'm trying to figure out how to do in my own business. And all of a sudden, a light bulb went off in my head. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just wasted 4 years of my life. I'm doing it backwards. So all of a sudden, I took out a whiteboard and I just thought, I'm going to deconstruct this whole podcast thing for just a minute here and see what's the fastest way to get from meeting someone new in the podcasting world, a host or guest, and actually convert them into a client. Because as we all know, it's really, really difficult to build an entire huge audience and sell enough stuff or affiliates or whatever to that audience to be able to actually make a living podcasting. But we all have a done for you service, a high ticket coaching program, a mastermind, a something that we're actually selling typically in addition to our podcasting work. So I thought, okay, I can do this. This person, this other host, me as a host, them as a host, they just raised their hand as a fellow host and said, I had you on as a guest just so I could learn from you. They just raised their hand and yelled at the top of their lungs from the top of the prospect building, I'm a prospect, please come pick me up. And I realized, oh my gosh, I'm looking at this the wrong way around. So what I started doing is I started reverse engineering the whole process. And long story short, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty here, I went out to other podcast hosts and reached out to them and offered an opportunity to share what I know in my podcasting expertise, in my area of genius, and what I do for a living. I offered a chance for me to share my expertise with their audience. And 2 things happened there. 2 things that are really, really important for setting up a sale. The first one is they get to look at my podcast host or guest profile, which is usually the same thing. And they get to say, hey, this guy's relevant for my audience. My audience would find this guy actually intriguing, entertaining, and informative. Okay, cool. They also get to say, oh my gosh, I want to know what this guy knows. I want to have him on my show just so I can ask questions for a friend, right? That's where the magic happens. All of a sudden now, instead of becoming a podcast host and bringing guests into my world so I can build a relationship and maybe offer them a product or service in the future, or just do the thing and build connections, now I'm approaching the podcast host as a fellow host saying, hey, I see what you're doing and I think it's pretty cool. And if there's anything I can ever do to help you or your audience, count me in. Just a simple message like that to another podcast host is pretty magical, because now I'm an expert just offering my expertise. We're equals in the podcasting world. Forget who's got the bigger audience and all that kind of stuff. We're both podcast hosts, and I'm just offering to serve. I'm not asking, can I be on your show? I'm not asking, can I sell you something? I'm not asking, can you be on my show? I'm not asking for anything. Just, hey, love what you're doing. If I can ever support you or your audience in any way, just let me know. If we can figure something out, I'd be more than happy to. It's a pretty low-key way to make an introduction. So many of those hosts started reaching back out to me saying, yeah, would love to have you on the show. Actually, I was just thinking about building whatever you do. I was just thinking about understanding more about that topic. I was just wanting to talk to my audience about that. We've had so many other people who talk about other topics. This is something we're really interested in. They express those kind of things and those feelings and those thoughts and those needs and those wants. And now I've got a chance to jump in that door and help their audience, but really help them understand what I do as an expert. And more often than not, at the end of that show, a podcast host asked me, a fellow podcast host, hey, that was really, really great. I really want to know more about what you do. Or, hey, that was really, really great. Like, I was thinking about doing that kind of stuff in my business. How can you help me with that? Or can I just ask you a few questions? And it's so easy for me to be able to say, hey, thank you for having me on your show. First of all, that's awesome. I really appreciate that, because I really, truly do. And secondly, why don't we just jump on another call and let me just talk this thing through with you? I can help you understand what I understand, how I build my business, how I grow things that I do, how this all works from the backstage viewpoint of building what I build for a living. And that's where the traction starts to really take place. They almost always say yes, and I instantly have a discovery call with a highly qualified prospect who's already raised their hand and said, I'm interested in what you have to talk about, and I'd like to pick your brain. Before we even went down the discovery call path, now I have a discovery call with them. That is the perfect prospect for your offer. So no longer do I create host opportunities for guests and have them on my show. I flipped the script around completely, still as a show host, yes, but I approach other show hosts with an offer to help them and their audience, ultimately being a guest, because that allows them to pre-qualify themselves and say, yeah, I'd like to know what you know. I want your information. I want to figure this out. And it gives me a chance to actually get in there and change lives, not just for the audience, but for the host that's bringing me on, another host, as a guest in this circumstance. Now, this gets sticky in one or two places. Number one, you need to make sure you're screening appropriately for who you're reaching out to, right? So platforms like PodMatch do a really great job at that. There's so many people out there who label themselves as a host. They have an audience. They're trying to influence people. They're doing their thing, right? Just like you and me. And yet they're labeling who they are, what they work on, the topics they're interested in, all those kind of things. So what me and my team do is we just simply go on a platform like PodMatch and we go through the process of finding here's who our ideal client is and how they express that in their PodMatch profile. We just dig through there. It's really not hard to do that. Search for keywords. You'll find them really quickly. Once we do that, we're looking for a couple of key things. Number one, I just want to look at their audience. Is their audience a right fit for this topic? If it's not, our messaging won't make sense. Are they a host also who I think this person could really use what we do, right? If the host and audience could both use what we do, it's a win-win. I can't lose this game. All right. Next, we click through to their website. We actually go to that host website, find out what else they're doing, what products and services they're offering. Are they truly a qualified prospect for me and my team and what we offer? If that's the case, then we just simply jump in there and send an initial message. Hey, love what you're doing. Thanks for serving the community. If there's any way we can help, let us know. Hey, by the way, if you want to stalk me a little more, here's my host/guest profile. Take a look. Again, here to help anytime. Simply a message like that. So many of those messages come back. We've pre-qualified them. We already know, yeah, I'd like to talk to this person. And now this gives them a chance to pre-screen and qualify us without it getting weird or icky. And all of a sudden, they send messages back. Sometimes it takes a message or two or a little bit of time to build a relationship. I totally get that. They might ask, yeah, tell me more about what you do. And we can explain that or just point them back to, hey, why don't you just check out the profile? It's easier. And again, anything I can do to help, let me know. Just those little messages back and forth builds a relationship. We get a scheduled opportunity to jump on the show, or they go straight to it and like, hey, you know what? I want to have you on the show. But what I really want to do first is just jump on a call. Can I ask you about what you do? Because what you do is what I'm trying to figure out. That's really, really common. There's so many products and services that we offer as podcast hosts. A lot of us talk about marketing, talk about building high ticket programs, sales, prospecting, lead gen, telling stories, creating audiences, creating better families, having happier pets, traveling, whatever we do, we have our area of expertise. And your area of expertise is extremely valuable to other people in the community. You don't have to only talk to audiences. That's a hit or miss game. You can directly reach out to podcast hosts like you, but that are looking for your area of genius. That's where this becomes magical. Once I made this shift and I started screening for people who I knew would be ideal prospects for me, and then looking a little deeper into their websites, and then sending that initial message, they started replying back. We started getting on shows. We started getting on discovery calls. All of a sudden it started happening. Our attraction model, our models of like reaching out and doing cold outreach on social media platforms and email lists and all the things that we do, right? Running ads, all the stuff. Our model significantly shifted because for a very small amount of money per month, I can get a membership on a platform that matches hosts and guests and categorizes all these people perfectly for me. And all of a sudden, I know who they are and they know who I am. And we can make a connection happen. It's a dating service for podcast hosts and guests. It's also a dating service for people offering services to podcast hosts and guests. Don't overcomplicate this. Think about the social media power, the market niche power, the screening power, the filtering power, the relationship connection power, because you can chat back and forth, that's built into a platform like PodMatch. It's really, really straightforward. And all of a sudden, you've taken everything, all the conversations, all the outreach off of a major social media platform, put it into a very private space where it's just people like us, podcasters, and you're breaking down barriers of trust right away, where you can get through the distrust and the skepticism and all those things that are so painful on so many platforms, and just talk to like-minded people who have similar goals and help each other out. I love doing this model. It's very, very simple and very, very doable. Go back, re-listen, rewatch, back up, pause whatever you need to, copy down the scripts I'm mentioning right here, because it's just that simple. And then here's the cool thing. Once they jump on a discovery call or during the interview, before or after the interview, it's so simple to have the conversation. And it comes up all the time of, oh my gosh, that was a great interview. Thank you so much for all the information, they say. And I say, absolutely, glad to help. You want to jump on another call and I can help you whiteboard these ideas out a little farther? And if I can help you in any way, be more than happy to. That's really an easy jump. It often happens though, right at the end of the podcast episode, when I'm not the host anymore, I'm being guested all of a sudden, where I'm able to reciprocate and say, hey, you want to come on my show if I need to build a little more relationship trust with this person, or just simply be able to say, hey, we got 10 minutes left. Why don't we just talk this thing through? You've asked some really good questions in the past 30 minutes. How can I help? Obviously, you have questions. Obviously, there's a real thing you're trying to crack the code on here. How can I help? And they tell me right then and there exactly what they need. And if I can help them, I make an offer. You can do the same thing. That is the most natural, easiest way to sell. It's so nice to be able to talk to somebody who actually is right there with you. They're on the same track you're on. They're going down the same path you're on, and they just need your help to jump one more step forward. That's a cool opportunity. Everybody wins, and it feels great. I love being a podcast host, and I love being a guest for other podcast hosts. And I love making a very clear connection, a very clear point to only talk on shows and only host other people on my show when there's a very intentional outcome that we're going for. Not just building awesome audiences and helping people. That is a natural byproduct that happens with great conversations that are recorded. I'm trying to make sure that I'm helping not just the audience, but the host. Working that model is absolutely the fastest way to high ticket, done for you, one-on-one coaching, group coaching, whatever it is you're offering. It is the fastest way to finding and closing, sorting out, getting through all the mess of high ticket prospecting and closing. Do the work to get the results. We say it all the time in my communities. Do work, get results. Here's the key. Do the right work to get the right results. You got this. Get out there and crush it. Go back, copy these scripts down, and do the work to get the results. I'm Chris Williams. If there's anything else I can do here to answer your questions, absolutely reach out. And I would love to help. You've got this. You're the expert. You already have a show. You already know how to do this. You have all the equipment around you in your studio you need. You just need a clear path to do the work and get the results that you're actually looking to get.